Hi guys, and welcome to reading the internet's probably most beloved book literally ever. I'm going to be reading Fourth Wing in today's video, again, because I've been craving a reread so bad that I need it injected into my bloodstream. And what better way to do it than to do it together with y'all in a full spoiler breakdown, because I've been waiting for this moment for literal months now, so it's finally here, and let's just directly get into the vlog. Now, if you've been keeping up with the channel, I read this back in January and gave it 5 stars. Then I read a whole fanfiction in the perspective of Zayden, the main male guy in this, again. And while that wasn't my favorite book ever, it just shows my hyper dedication to this. That, listen, I've read it already a couple times from different perspectives, but I still want to go back into it again. And so this is probably actually going to be my third time rereading it, but also it's my second because it's my second time from Rebecca Yarros specifically, the original book. And so I figured we have to do this together because I've been craving either this or an Asimov reread, and so I figured I'd go with this because this is the first book in a series, and the first time I read it in a different vlog, it was like a non-spoiler vlog, so I figured this time I'd give a spoiler vlog kind of for the people who have already read this. So if you've read this, only then watch the video. If you haven't, literally just skip this video because I don't want to be spoiling this for anyone. I want everyone to go ahead and read it. It's the best book literally ever, and so skip the video. I'll see you hopefully next week, but until then, now let's just get into my full spoiler breakdown thoughts as I go ahead and restart reading Fourth Wing, because I wanted to do Asimov, but I've already done a spoiler breakdown on that, so it just made sense to give one on this. Literally no one asked for it, but here we are anyway, and I'm gonna get into reading. So I started this a couple days ago while I was coming back from vacation, started listening to the graphic audio in the car because a few months after, or actually a few weeks after I finished this book the first time, I heard that there's something called graphic audio wherein different cast of narrators or whatever narrate the audiobook, and it's apparently supposed to be like a movie in your mind. And so it's always been on my mental TBR that I wanted to get to it, and I finally did now, but my progress isn't a lot. So I'm gonna go read some more or kind of listen to some more as I get some errands done, maybe even kind of read and listen at the same time, and then I'll come speak to you hopefully about both the audio and the book when I have at least 100 pages read, because this is about 500 pages in length, and so I don't want to have too many breakdowns. I want it to be somewhat cohesive and not that long, but also I want to have it going fully into depth into one of my favorite books ever. And so we're going to dissect it, but I need enough material to dissect, which is why I'll see you at the 100-page mark in hopefully not so long. Bye. Hi guys, so it's not been much longer, but I have gone ahead and proceeded continuing reading, kind of listening to it as I'm going. And the thing is, I already had some decent progress made before I came in and the last time I came and spoke to you. However, now I wasn't able to put it down again. Literally, what do you expect of me? So I just kept reading past the 100-page mark. We're now at chapter 11, page 133, and so it is update time. Obviously, it's been overdue, but also I couldn't help it. I'm addicted, I'm obsessed. This needs to literally be put into my bloodstream again. IV dripped in there, because this is truly everything to me. I'm having the time of my life, especially with the whole audiobook, the graphic audio, so I couldn't put it down. But here we are now. I'm coming in much later, and I've reached a chapter wherein now she's struggling, Violet, with the gauntlet, and she's going to try to figure out how she gets past it. And I remember that scene so clearly, so I can't wait to get back to it, but I had to pull myself away to come give you some of my thoughts and updates now, because I've been writing them all down and I have them listed so we can come speak about them, because I have a lot to say, a lot of thoughts in depth from literally page 1 of this book. Now looking back, considering it's a reread for me, because I, knowing what I do from the end of it, need to kind of figure out answers, and so not really gonna get it from this book, but I still want to go along with it anyway. And so it's time for my spoiler breakdown. At the beginning, when Mira, her sister, is kind of helping her pack like her bag or whatever, there's like an offhanded mention to kind of like the book of fables her father gave her, and then there's the mention of Venin and Wyvern, which is so weird because they come in at the end of the book, and I completely forgot about that. I don't even know how, so it slipped my notice the first time around, but now you can actually look at the mini details and how the author has been planting it since like the very beginning, chapter 1, and you only come to see it later. Hindsight is huge, hindsight is crazy, hindsight is 2020, and this is amazing. I actually really like the intro to Dane, and here's the thing, do not come after me, I don't like him as a character because I have read this book once in this perspective and once from Zayden's, and so clearly I don't like him obviously, but I really like the way he was introduced in this. And then not so long after, I started seeing the toxic red flags again. So I wrote that in my little notes app page that I really like the way he's introduced, and then 10 minutes later I came back to update and say, okay, I'm seeing the red flags now. I don't like him anymore, but I just like the way he was introduced into the storyline, because in the graphic audio especially with like the musics and the sound effects in the background. It was done really incredibly well and it was really good. Okay, and now a quick little segue into ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. If you've probably read Fourth Wing, you will have read that series at this point. So a little basic, vague kind of similarities I want to point out in case you haven't read it, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. That's like my favorite series ever. But here specifically, Dane reminds me a lot of Tamlin, and the whole introduction to Xaden over here reminds me of Rhys, because Dane over here loves Violet to the point where it's stifling and overbearing, and this kind of shows you the whole tagline of the whole series ACOTAR as well, wherein love kind of needs to be given in these doses, wherein it's not like overdone or whatever, because it could be fatal. And I know I said that in my Akramoff breakdown video or whatever, but that's the whole point, because Dane loves her a little too much, and this also shows you how even though you love someone, you should never forfeit your right to choose to them. And that's kind of the whole thing going on with Dane and Violet, wherein even though she's telling him not to, he's still pushing her to kind of go to the scribe quadrants, and that's really bugging me, because he should just shut up. She knows better, she knows what she wants, he should just stop going on about it. But also it does make sense that he really likes her and he just wants to see her protected and safe, but the way he's going about it is not my favorite, because if someone's telling you to back off, they know how to make their decisions. You should kind of see that as a hint and kind of back off as well, because he's kind of in this way imposing his will on her by his repetition and almost emotional gaslighting and manipulating. And maybe it's not that deep, maybe it's just like a fantasy book, but listen, I said this was going to be full spoiler breakdown. I'm going into my whole English student mode, and so I'm going to be giving it alright, but this is how I feel personally at the moment. Also, another thing I have written down is that Dane thinks he knows better, he thinks he can make her decisions for her, and he's not letting her choose. And that's the whole point, see, because if she knows that she's making the right decision for herself, for her own life, he kind of needs to stick his nose out of it, because it's getting annoying, especially in the way that he's doing it almost monotonously, and it's kind of, irritating. Now on the other hand, I wrote this about the graphic audio. I think this was around the point wherein I was like an hour or so into it, wherein it's like a movie in your mind. It's really highly engrossing, and with all the sound effects and stuff in the background, she's like walking up, there's like dragon noises and stuff, there's war music. I'm telling you, I'm getting so sucked and engrossed into it, but it's only good for a light reread, because when I went back to still listening and I was flipping through the pages, there are some lines that are cut out which kind of include descriptions of what the other characters are doing. So if Rhiannon, the friend, she swallows or whatever, they're not going to speak about it. But if Violet does, she's going to have like a whole sighing noise in the audiobook, and so it makes sense. But also, it's not really great if you want to read it for the first time, because it's definitely skipping on certain descriptions, and maybe my example wasn't the most accurate, but it's definitely alright only for a light reread, not for a whole going along with it the first time around. So keep that in mind in case you want to try it out. It does have its like pros and cons, but so far I'm having a good time, and it's good for a reread in case you want to try that out as well. Also, this time around I'm looking more closely at the Brennan clues, because we know at the end of this book what happens with Brennan, and so this time around I'm actually wondering if her mom knows that Brennan is still alive, because as far as I remember from the first time I read this book, the mom definitely is up to something in the politics on the bad side of the people, I guess, when she realized what's up. And so does she really know that Brennan is still alive working on the other side, or does she still think he's dead? And also along with that, I'm actually looking at world building clues this time around, because when they were describing the attacks in Battle Brief, this time I was paying so much more attention, trying to figure out what's actually going on, and the kind of clues the author's kind of throwing in for what's going to come at the very end, when, while Xaden go off and kind of figure out what happens next. Another thing I've written down is a hard ick from Dane. That's literally how I'm feeling. I'm hating him so much. So already after the 30-minute mark or whatever, I don't really know how much there was, I started getting sick of him, especially how annoying he was being, and so I said it in the notes. Violet kind of reciting whatever she's been thinking of, whatever she's been studying while walking across the parapet is such a funny but Violet thing to do, because she's literally, doing this life-altering, I guess, dangerous course pathway or whatever, and she's still thinking about how she's like a scribe internally at heart, and reciting text and whatever, and I thought that was just so endearing to her character, and so I had to mention. In the scene when we're learning more about the dragons right now, there was like a short offhanded comment that was made that again I did not pick up on the first time around, and it says, Sigil, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correct, Xaden's dragon, bonded one of Xaden's relatives before she bonded Xaden. And I know it's said in the audiobook that it isn't allowed or whatever, but she does what she wants. But are we glossing over the fact that she was with someone from Xaden's bloodline before she got with Xaden as his dragon or whatever? So that's very interesting to me. Maybe that'll be like a future clue or whatever in the series, but is that gonna come up, and is it important? Because it definitely feels like it, and so I'm making like mental note of it. Also, now 10, Violet's dragon, it hasn't happened yet, Threshing, but when he becomes Violet's dragon, we're actually getting his backstory now before Threshing. And the thing is, they said that his first rider, I don't know if it's Neolin or Nolan, I wish Rebecca Yarros did not keep such similar names between the healer and Terran's first rider, but his first rider apparently died trying to save Brennan. But from what I know, at the end of the book, Brennan is still alive. So did the first rider die anyway, or is he still alive too, and is he working with Brennan, or what's going on? I don't know, I'm confused, but Terran's backstory sounds so sus to me right now, so that's something I want to look back into, maybe once I get into the next books in the series. Here I've written Xaden and Violet sparring scene. That's all I'm gonna say, because the way the audio did it, I think I was just blushing and squealing and like giggling the entire time. That was so good. Honestly, I think I might just go back and listen to that scene, just that scene once again, because the way he calls her violence, I'm sorry, that has me so down bad. I'm obsessed. Vizcayat, the war college, is such a death college in so many different terms, because now I'm actually focusing on how many aspects would kill them. They're literally training in challenges that could kill them just to root out the weakest and have like the strongest on top. And it kind of goes back as an ode to what Xaden said at the beginning, wherein you feel elite, but what happens when the numbers start dwindling and suddenly you're losing everyone around you? Maybe you won't even have a chance of survival yourself. And so it's very interesting the way it's portrayed, because the first time around I don't think I was going that deep into it. I was more looking at Violet and Xaden, but this time watching the background more closely as well, it's such a death college in the sense that if you walk in there, you have maybe like a 10% chance of walking out alive. Math is probably really wrong because I'm not very good at it, but that just basically goes to say there's so many crazy things happening right now, and if this was adapted to like a movie or like a show or something, this would be so cool, because can you imagine all the challenges actually taking place and like you getting to watch that on a screen? But also, I'm not an advocate for it, because movies, genuinely, whenever books get adapted, they're always done badly. So hopefully, if this ever happens, we get like a good one. But regardless, that's how I feel right now. Now, the very next point I wrote after that is that regardless of the fact that I understand it's a death college, the younger self in me, because I used to be obsessed with Harry Potter when I was younger in my childhood or whatever, I used to wait for a Hogwarts letter. Yeah, now me as an adult, listen, all I want to do is go to Vizcayat, ride some dragons or whatever, watch Xaden in real life, and I know it's a death college, but I'd love to go there, even though I'd probably be zero at the survival or whatever. Still want to go there. You can't convince my heart it's not. So this is like the adult reflection of me as a child wanting to go to Hogwarts, and now me wanting to go to Vizcayat. That honestly so striking, and it's always the fantasy books that do it for me, so this is great. Last point I have written down, again kind of like an ode to Akatar, is that Dane sees himself as the only one worthy enough to defend and protect Violet. She herself cannot do it, at least in his eyes, and so that's how I'm gonna end it off, because it's giving very much Tamlin vibes, and so we're gonna stop there. But basically I'm loving it so much this time around, and it's feeling very dystopian looking more closely into it, but so far so good. I'm so happy with what's going on, and I'm gonna go get back to my read of it, because I have quite some left still, so maybe I'll see you like at the halfway mark now with more thoughts and updates. But because I'm listening on graphic audio, I still think I can get some like errands done as I do it as well, so I'm gonna go do that. If you saw me looking off to the side this entire time, I forgot to mention I have my notes written down and I copied them to my laptop so I can look at them easy and speak to you at the same time, which is why just ignore that. But I'm gonna go get back to it. I still have to unpack my bags, not my clothes, that's all done, just my stuff, you know, the electronics or whatever, my books that I carried when I went on vacation and came back last week. So I'm probably gonna go get to some unpacking now as I continue listening to the book, and maybe I'll see you either at the halfway mark or when the graphic audio version that I'm just listening to right now, because it's divided into two parts, when the first part gets over, whichever is sooner, I'll see you then, hopefully with more thoughts and updates. And if it's so already in depth, there'll definitely be more, so you can always count on me for having a really strong opinion about something. And so I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna continue reading, and I'm gonna have such a blast this time around, because this is truly the best week of my life. And so I'm gonna get back to it, and I'll see you guys hopefully in a day or two once I have more progress in, because I'm definitely not seeing you tonight. I'm not that fast of a reader or listener, so see you guys soon hopefully, and bye. Hopefully you're still having like a fun time with all these thoughts going on, because it's gonna be a long ass video. Hi guys, so it's now the next afternoon. I stayed up till nearly 3 or I think a little past yesterday while I was unpacking all of my stuff and basically finished all of that. Kind of finished the first part of the graphic audio or whatever because it's divided into 2 bits, and so now I'm here to discuss with you. And so far I've managed to hit about halfway, or it kind of looks like it. I'm on page 216 in the middle of chapter 18. Why did I stop in the middle, you may ask? It's not because I was bored, it's because I was done with literally all the unpacking and I was too tired then. It was like past 3 like I said or whatever, and I wanted to get to bed. So I figured, because the audio that I'm listening to, it said it had 20 minutes left, and because I'm listening on 2x, I cannot do anything faster than that. It's too much. I figured if I have 10 minutes left, might as well finish them in the morning before I come speak to you. And now I haven't yet finished them. I'm gonna go finish them after I'm done speaking to you, but I'm here to talk because after this my sister kind of needs to come in the room and I have social anxiety, so I'm gonna try to record the entire time while she's not here because I don't want to be speaking in front of others. It's kind of embarrassing. However, now for updates on the book. Before anything, I realized that this is a full spoiler breakdown, but if anyone's watching this as a full spoiler review before they want to dive into the next book or whatever, because I know I will, for like a quick refresher once I have to start the next few books, I figured I'll just give like a quick summary of this book as well because I completely forgot to do that. It skipped my mind. So basically this book follows this girl called Violet Sorrengail. Her mother is actually in the military wing, and even though Violet wants to be a writer her whole life, she's trained to be a scribe, her mother kind of enforces this decree wherein she has to go be part of the Riders Quadrant in their world. Now for context, the Riders are the most brutal aspect or part of the military or whatever. They're elite, they're untouchable, and at the same time they're like true born cold-blooded killers. When Violet kind of enrolls in that college, which is called Biscay, it's kind of like a death college, to become a rider, she's now being hunted by all of the other cadets who are also trying to be riders, because for context, her mom is very hated throughout the nation, especially by the people from the opposing side, who her mom has actually picked enmity with in the past because of battles and war or whatever. And then top of that whole chain is basically this guy called Xaden Ryerson, whose father was executed for treachery by her mother. So he basically hates her, they're enemies, and he's on top of that hierarchy chain of coming to kill her, and she's weaker than everyone else. She's not really trained for it. So number one, she needs to kind of walk out with her life alive, and number two, she wants to become a dragon rider. But as all these events are taking place in the college itself, outside there kind of walls around the city or whatever, around Navarre, their kingdom is actually failing and coming down. So they've got like danger from outside, she's got danger from within. It's like this whole, I guess, complicated story about what's actually going on in their world with like dragons and other magic systems or whatever, and it goes from there. And basically that's the vaguest review you'll ever get, but that's like a quick refresher in case you want to jump into the next book next. Now for some of my thoughts that I have jotted down again in front of my laptop here, so if you see anything reflecting or whatever, that's what it is. And if I'm looking off to the side, again, it's gonna be that. Here again, I started off with listening to the graphic audio, and here I've actually encapsulated exactly what I think about graphic audio now in better words, because last time I wasn't really sure what I was trying to say, and here now I have it written down. Some context and information is missing because they're actually glossing over some bits. So graphic audio mainly consists of them talking and their speeches and dialogues or whatever. It doesn't really go over too much of descriptions of the background and what's going on, and because that context is missing, it's not really good for someone who is like a first time reader trying to figure out what's going on, which is why I would not really recommend if this is your first time reading. Maybe if it's your second time, yeah, like me, but then first time, definitely try not to pick that up despite the fact that it's really good. There's also a bunch of like musical and background sound effects or whatever to kind of give like a feel for what they're talking about, what's going on in the background, but sometimes I feel like it's overpowering to the sense where they could have like reduced the sound of it, because over the music you can't really hear what the characters are saying and talking about, which is getting annoying because I have to rewind trying to figure out what they're trying to say, and it's not the best experience if it's your first time. I've written here next that some laughing effects are over exaggerated, and listen, if you've heard this or if you plan on reading this out in that form, you'll probably understand what I'm trying to say. There's no actual way of explaining, but you know how some people have this really fake laugh that you can tell it's fake or whatever? That's basically it in the audio. They just keep going on, and it's frankly annoying. Even some like voice effects or whatever, they're like actually irritating. So I wish there was less of that, but at the same time, I'm not complaining because it's still good to get back to, and if I ever do a reread in the future, I'm definitely going to go graphic audio version because I'm having a great time. It does feel like a movie, but at the same time, I do have some gripes with it, which, I have with everything at this point. So listen, hey, I'm picky, let's move on. Now about the book itself, the first thing I have written down is Riddick. He's such a sweetheart, he's so hilarious. I don't think I really noticed the first time around, but now I'm paying so much more attention. He's got his own separate like voice acting or whatever, and I feel like that also emphasizes how voice actors kind of bring out the character to life, because I didn't really notice him the first time, but now I'm like giggling every time he gets screen time. So please, can he get some more, because I think I'm falling for him like so hard and so bad. But I will say it also has its like down perks to voice acting or whatever, because the voice actor they've chosen for Ten, the dragon, that sounds so wrong and weird. Andarna's is really cute and exactly what I'd have pictured it, but Ten, no, I actually picture, if you've heard that Instagram viral sound, I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Sorrengail, that voice to be Ten's voice actor, not the one that is in the audiobook. So unfortunately, I'm not really vibing with that, but let's move on. Now, offhandedly, Violet somewhere she said, because I haven't really written down where and I cannot recollect, that going to the scribes would be a safe option, and she wants to live or die as a rider because at least she'll know she have tried or whatever. And for me personally, I really think that's like a almost adjacent to Dane, because Dane is actually asking her to go be a scribe. So technically it feels like a roundabout way of saying Dane is the safe option, and because Violet is trying to choose herself now, she's trying to choose the more dangerous route, the one they wouldn't expect her to go, but she's doing it anyway to prove herself. I feel like that again correlates to how Xaden is, because he's again the dangerous, not very traveled path, but at the same time he's actually what suits her best. And so again, roundabout way, I don't know if this is supposed to be symbolism or if I'm really just reading into things, but this is how I feel right now. Next up, after she passed the gauntlet scene, I wrote maybe Amber Mavis is taking out her, I guess, enmity with Violet because she used to like Dane, and the whole previous year close friends thing they're talking about, because we all know what that means. And then the next point I've written is that Violet said that Amber Mavis and Dane, no wonder they were close friends because they are both so in love with the Codex. That was hilarious. That was so unexpected, and I don't remember it from the first time around, and because I wasn't really looking at the book, I was more busy in unpacking. The second that came up, I was just giggling, laughing so hard because that was hilarious to me, and so true actually. After the gauntlet scene, instead of defending her like Dane did, Xaden actually let her go ahead and prove herself and fight and stand up for herself against Amber Mavis, which is the whole thing I'm trying to say, wherein he knows she's good enough to do it for herself. He will step in if he has to, but he knows she's got it under control, unlike Dane, who would actually jump in and whatever. And also Dane's kind of support towards how she passed the gauntlet, or how he wouldn't really sacrifice the rules to kind of save her life during threshing, that made me so mad. Like, you're so hypocritical. You and Amber Mavis deserve each other. Literally, bye. Amber, I feel like, is jealous of Violet because of her closeness to Dane, and then Dane is just messed up with the rules or whatever. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, now something in favor of Dane though. I've written that Rhiannon and Violet, when they were discussing after the gauntlet scene, that friends, they like to keep each other safe, because Violet didn't really tell Rhiannon her plan or whatever. That does make sense for what Dane is trying to do. You understand that he has good intentions, because as a friend he just wants to see her safe. It's just his methods of carrying that out isn't really well executed by him specifically, because he's not pulling it out the right way. He's not really showing it, and it's not coming across as right or whatever, but his intentions are good as a friend. So I will say that. And obviously then you've got the background of how his father is in command or whatever. He's got high expectations of him, and he's seen people already go, which is why he doesn't want to lose her. But again, the whole thing comes in to say that, listen, his intentions are right, his just way of showing it and acting it out isn't. Okay, now what everyone's been waiting for, whatever, the whole threshing scene. Stop. My jaw was on the ground because the whole voice effect made it like so much better. When Violet actually figured out that Jack and his cronies were gonna go after Andarna, the musical effects in the background, it felt like she was going off to war. When I tell you, I pictured that scene the best. Stop, because I've already been looking at fan art for months now since I read the book for the first time, and so I know exactly what all of them should look like, at least in my head. And with all of this going on in the audio, I actually felt like I was on the front screen theater movie or whatever, first row, watching it with like popcorn delightedly, because I was having such a great time and it was done so really well. And then also the other things going on in the background of threshing, like for example Xaden stepping ahead to save her despite the fact that, listen, he took only one step before Tane showed up or whatever, and he's her enemy and maybe he shouldn't because it's against rules, but he still came. And then Dane on the other hand, sitting on his ass doing absolutely nothing. Yes, that's a reference to Akatar, Akmorph if you've read it. But yeah, I know Dane wasn't in a position to, but then the fact that Xaden did it despite being the enemy, and Dane as a friend wouldn't even break the rules, I'm just saying. Let's think about that for a second. Next up, I've written that I'm so in love with Tane, the dragon, even though the voice actor doesn't do him justice, and Andarna is so cute. fully stand by that. Listen, that's just how I feel right now. We also just got like an introduction to Liam Mari. He popped up a couple times here and there. I think offhandedly because she's like, he's the best in the class or whatever. He came first up the gauntlet. He doesn't understand defeat. And then later after threshing or whatever, he was again referenced. I'm telling you, the way I giggled and squealed so hard because that man owns my entire heart the way it is. But I'm also so terrified for what we know will come. So nothing can prepare me. I'm ready. Tears are already at first call or whatever, and I don't know how I'm going to survive it. But here we are. Just had to mention that because I am obsessed with Liam. I feel like I'm president of the Liam Mari fan club. So if you want to join, obviously hit me up. But like, here we are. I feel like this book specifically is very Harry Potter Goblet of Fire coded because of all the dragons and challenges that are going on in like a, I guess, school or whatever for magic that's kind of teaching you. And then not just that, the friend group is so wholesome. All of them kind of like standing up for each other, kind of there in the good and the bad times, celebrating alongside them but also defending. Sorry, I'm obsessed. Now back to Tayan because like I said, I'm obsessed with him. Tayan kind of sitting down and making accommodations for her despite being the strongest dragon like of them all, and he doesn't really have to do it. That honestly has me wanting to sob and holding back tears because that's so cute. And then not just that, Tayan kind of telling Dane to kind of back off in Violet's mind or whatever, the whole scene when he's like, tell him to go or I'll scorch the land where he stands. That is so overprotective, dad. I'm here for it because listen, Tayan is a duh. Hear me out. I love him for me. Obsessed. Next thing I've written, again off topic, but the sound effects, they're so overly done sometimes. They're so loud and so annoying because I can't hear what's going on. And then the thing right after that is that when Tayan says, stay with the wing leader, my poor soul left my body. That's it. That's literally it because I'm so obsessed. I feel like the whole dynamic between Zayden and Violet is carried out so well, wherein there's enough like yearning and longing and tension and like just passionate want. The way that's carried out, I'm sorry, romance books just don't do it for me anymore. So should I get back into fantasy because this is doing it so freaking hard. I'm so down bad and obsessed. I love it. Next thing I've written, again jumping back to Tayan because listen, I'm obsessed. You guys get the point now. Tayan's kind of wise ass dry comments balanced with Andarna's quirky self. Sorry, that is actually perfect. And then the one after that I've written is the marked ones, the ones who carry the rebellion relic. Their loyalty amongst each other is so good because at the beginning, Imogen wanted to kill Violet because of Violet's mom or whatever, because she wanted to get revenge for her entire family being dead. But now, just because she wants to stand up and defend Zayden or whatever, which we know because of the scars thing he took for everyone, but just because she wants to stand up and, you know, save his life, because if Violet goes, Zayden goes, you know the whole thing. She's gonna go and she's gonna deal with it, even though she hates Violet, kind of train her to like live. She's training her enemy's daughter to live, the enemy who removed her family from existence, just because she's loyal to Zayden. Like, she didn't have to be, but I'm just gonna say that I just love the loyalty between the marked ones because we don't really get most of that these days in real life, and so it's good to look at something that refreshing in a book. Zayden and Violet, the whole bonding thing, life is worth living again. That's literally what I've written because I'm so here for it and I'm so happy. And I know exactly where this is going, but I don't care. I'm obsessed. Flash forward to when Violet is going to the scribe quadrant to pick up some documents or whatever, and she says offhandedly that even if temples are like burnt down or whatever, they can be rebuilt, but the archives are important because you can never get them again. And so listen, I agree wholeheartedly. I just had to shout that out because that's such a good saying. Maybe I'll get it tattooed someday, I don't know, but I just love the way that sounds. And listen, it's so real. Again, there was like a flash kind of throwback to the whole Ven and Wyvern thing, wherein they were talking about lore and backstories and how their parents used to kind of tell them, you know, fables about them when they were growing up and kind of mush it up or whatever. And then also flash again forward to when Violet's looking for the book in the library but cannot find it. I think that was the most obvious clue I missed the first time around, and so now looking back at it, I love the way it's like popping up, wherein you're getting enough background details that it's still keeping you interested, but also you're not really sure for what it is until you actually get to the end, and then you realize the foreshadowing, because it's crazy right now. It's so crazy and I'm loving it. Rebecca Yarros, she's a genius. Another thing I've written down is that there's a very good balance between the background and the setting, but also plot advancement, in a sense that I know what's going on in the background, the story is being pushed ahead, but at the same time we kind of get like dynamics and stuff, and it's not like stalling in place. So like there's background story wherein you know what's going to happen maybe one day in the future, but the present timeline is also moving with their dialogue or whatever, and so the balance is really good. It's keeping me engrossed, hooked, and listen, I'm intrigued enough to keep going because I'm very interested. Last thing I've written is that I'm so invested in Zayden. I'm so down bad for that man. He needs more screen time. And so that's it for my update so far on Fourth Wing. I think, a little under halfway at this point. So maybe we'll finish it today. Maybe we'll finish it tomorrow. Who knows? But regardless, my hand hurts from holding that the entire time because it's heavy. It's quite a big of a book. So I'm gonna go get back to reading. I'll finish the last 10 sped up minutes I have of my graphic audio and then get to the next one. And I'll see you hopefully very soon for maybe halfway into part 2 now and then break that down. But so far, hopefully my breakdown isn't boring and it's interesting enough because I don't know if I'm going too deep into it, but at the same time, I'm loving every second of dissecting and analyzing. So if you want more videos like this, obviously let me know, and let me know which books you like broken down as well because I'm here for it. I'm having the time of my life. Second time around, this is hitting so much harder and so much better. I think the first time I gave it 5 stars, this is going to be 6 stars easy this time. So I'm gonna go get back into my favorite book literally ever and see you guys hopefully very soon with more updates and more fun thoughts because it's only gonna get uphill from here. I feel like the progression from 0 to 100 to 1000 in this book is really done well, and so I'm gonna get to it and I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Fourth Wing full spoilers vlog, or kind of welcome back to me for me coming back to it because I've been sick the past couple of days. There will be like a whole reading while I'm sick vlog in case you'd like to watch it. But now that I'm finally back, now that I know I won't, give myself throat pain by talking too much or kind of sneeze all over the camera while I'm trying to record, I'm back to give you a bunch of updates because I've done quite a bit of reading and now I've hit chapter 34, nearly towards the end now. So I have lots of breakdown to give you before I finally go and finish the book out. So this is my second last update for the vlog and it's really exciting because I can't wait to then jump into the next book and give you a vlog for that. But now I'm on page 431. Like I said, there isn't like a lot left, so we can go ahead and discuss whatever I've read since the last time I came in and spoke to you because it's been, I think, a week at this point. It's been quite some, and so time to finally discuss and get into more of my thoughts about Fourth Wing spoilers. I have it all written down in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it out to you, and it's all for Fourth Wing. So maybe I'll put the book down at some point, but it's for this book specifically. And again, if you don't want spoilers, why are you even watching this vlog? Because it's completely full of it. But yeah, let's just finally get back into discussions. The songs I kind of relate to this book specifically are the first things I wrote out because when I'm relating songs, it shows I'm really enjoying the book. So I've written My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, Guilty as Sin, Gorgeous, because Zayden, come on, and I Can Fix Him, No Really I Can. And these are all the Taylor Swift specific songs I relate, but I do have like a specific playlist I've made both for Avatar and this is kind of like a mix, so you can definitely go check that out on my Spotify if you want to see more. This was before anything happened between the two of them, but I've written the Zayden and Violet slow burn is actually killing me because it's so delicious and the way it's done is so very well done. I was having the time of my life. Now Dane says that he wouldn't want to question Amber as a wing leader, her integrity, but he's questioning his childhood best friend Violet's integrity. So that just really goes to say that maybe they're never meant to be, and obviously we all know that looking back, but it's just something I'd like to point out that he says it for Amber, but he's actually doing it for Violet. So how does that make any sense, Dane? Respond to me. How does that make any sense? It basically also shows that he's got no faith in her, exactly as Violet suggested. Now on the other hand, Zayden, even though at the time they're obviously like enemies or whatever, he still goes ahead and puts himself in front of Violet. Not that he thinks, she can't defend herself. He's still just there to kind of protect her as a just in case when Jeremiah, the mind guy, he starts like reading people's thoughts or whatever. Again, it's been a week since I've read this, and also I read it while I was sick, so if I'm not really getting details exact, please ignore it. But Xaden goes to stand in front of her just so that mind guy doesn't read Violet's thoughts, even though Xaden's are probably more dangerous about being exposed or whatever, considering he is, doing stuff in the background, secrets and whatever. But that's how I literally think. Shows that he cares for his enemy's safety. Even the whole warning he gave her, that clear your mind out, like, he didn't have to do that, but he still did it. And that again is in clear opposition to Dane, who we all know would have just sat on his ass doing nothing. One question I have at the moment is, what was Garrett thinking when his mind was being read by Jeremiah? Because it just stops off or whatever when Xaden stops it, but like, we all know it was something compromising about their secrets or whatever, so I wish we knew more about that. It was so criminal that part 1 ended, the part 1 of graphic audio ended at that specific scene over there, because that's crazy. Started part 2 immediately, but honestly, it's crazy that it ended on that specific scene. And for me personally, I think part 1 was like 4.5 stars, not justifying my rating for the book. My rating for the book is obviously 5, it will always be 5. That's my rating specifically only for the audio version because of the production and the narration and however I feel about it. Only specifically for the audiobook, like I said. So the story is completely different for me. Now moving back into the story about the book or whatever, at the beginning of graphic audio 2, I think it goes off into saying that the scribes have most of the power, and while I agree with that, it's giving me such a bad feeling because at the beginning of this book, and I checked only for Iron Flame, at the beginning of that too, it says it's been like a story that's been transcribed by Jessenia, who we have met as a scribe. So now I'm wondering, why is Jessenia transcribing all of this? Is something gone wrong or whatever in the future? Was there like a war and everyone dies and she's doing it for the history book's sake to show everyone of their courage or whatever? Because that's really scary and daunting to me. I know it's going to come and bite us back in the ass or whatever later, but now I'm really scared because I get that, scribes have power, but what does it mean when we all know Jessenia is the one transcribing? Because like, why is Violet not doing it? Is she alright? The whole deep dive into Andarna's powers, we still need more because I still feel like we're going surface level and I'd love to see what happens next. Xaden coming to save her in the scene where the unbonded kind of went into her room to kind of kill her, and him going, that's not a flaw I possess, like kind of holding back to kill Oren. That was so hot. I'm so sorry. I'm obsessed with him. Xaden also goes ahead and says no need for questioning when it comes to asking Violet questions and, acting on it without all of that, just killing those guys out. So it basically goes to say Xaden believes his enemy, but Dane does not believe his friend, and Dane would rather just, go ahead and act on whatever he thinks and kind of support Amber instead of kind of siding with Violet when clearly Violet is the friend. The "Are you hurt" microtrope has me in such a chokehold, and then Xaden also panicking for her safety. He is #1 book boyfriend material and I'm obsessed with him. He also goes ahead and tells her that she's alive for multiple reasons that aren't just like luck or Mirror's West or whatever, which goes ahead and says that he thinks unlike Dane in the sense that she's keeping herself alive, which we all know is true, and he actually believes in it, unlike Dane, who's just like, please go back or whatever because that's so annoying, please stop and back off. Another question I have is, why were the marked guys all awake and dressed at like 2 in the morning? That's like so sus to me because no one does that, and so clearly something else was at play, which is why they were able to rush in really fast. And it's good that they did because Violet, she isn't dead, but like, why were they all awake? That's my question. Him lacing her boots, him saying that, oh, there are a couple sneaking around in the dark. Enemies to lovers done right. I'm sorry, this book was giving everything in that chapter specifically. I had such a fun time. Another question is, how does Xaden know the secret tunnel path? Because like, what has he been doing that he actually discovered it or whatever? That's really interesting. And then another thing Xaden raises, it's a point by Xaden, Dane babies her, which is so true because if you look at it, Xaden nailed that description when it comes to actually talking about how Dane treats Violet, because come on, literally Dane, please look at boundaries and grow up and stop overstepping. Now this is something I just want you to keep in mind. It'll come into play later when I'm dissecting or whatever, talking about other things. Andarna says that nature likes everything in balance, so just keep that in mind. I just needed to mention that. Xaden believes Violet's word when it comes to Amber. Dane wanted proof, which is why he was coming to kind of see her memories and look at it without permission, which was so annoying. Liam was assigned to look after Violet. Stop, Liam. That's it. Liam was assigned. And then Xaden going, I wouldn't want to overstep. He is so witty, he is so charming, and he is so cocky. I'm obsessed. Stop. And then also now we have Liam coming into play. Guys, this is the best time of my life, and truly, can I be more obvious? Clearly not, because Liam is such a sweetheart. I'm so happy and excited. And now moving on. The command in this book is clearly hiding so much more that is being let on, because we are being told certain things, but then certain things are coming to light, which is, leading me to believe that maybe they aren't like the great guys we're assuming. And I've written more about that, but for now, I really don't believe them. The scars on Xaden's back, the execution of the marked ones, their parents in front of them, the separation of siblings, fostering, the whole relic on the hand or whatever, handing away estates and assets to loyalists. There's so much going on. Post-conscription into Rider Squadron, all of that leads me to believe, isn't that a little too evil on the children, because they weren't really involved in anything? So that makes me think Command feels like the bad guys in such extremity, and I feel so bad for all of the betrayers or whatever on their behalf, because that's actually terrible for children or whatever. I feel like it's just a step too far. Liam's sister is joining next year, so does that mean we get to see Liam's sister in the next book? Because that is so exciting. And then also at that point I wrote that Xaden and Liam were literally carrying the book, because honestly, any scene with the two of them, I need more screen time. I was obsessed. Liam carved out 10 for Violet. Stop. He is like my favorite character. If you can't already tell, I'm so in love with him. It's kind of crazy. Xaden watching Violet and Dane, is he jealous? Also, Dane also saying that he couldn't reconcile Amber's betrayal with the woman he knew. Like, he did not even have a modicum of faith in the woman he's known since his childhood, and he's trusting a random friend he made like a year ago. I'm sorry, what? The lack of consent while he was asking for the memory from Violet is making me so mad, because like, he's so annoying. He's such an asshole. Also, him always touching her face without consent, without her even knowing what's going on, and he's clearly using a signet. Like, I hate him. I actually hate him. Nothing can fix him. I hate him. He's beyond redemption for me. Dane is keeping her safe, and he's keeping her from growing, and as expressed by Rhiannon, she is the best of her year, but he's still being a control freak, which is so freaking annoying. What she thinks of herself matters 100%, as she said, and Dane, he doesn't realize that. He gives her the glass cage treatment, again as said by the book, which I feel like the portrayal and description of that was so very well done. I'm so curious right now to know more of Xaden's secrets, because Xaden is clearly the enemy, or he used to be, and he's clearly hiding stuff, so that's going to be interesting when it comes to light. And another thing I wanted to say is, when she realizes she trusts Xaden more than Dane, the people you trust are the people you consider that you're safe around them or whatever. So she thinks she's safe around her enemy more than her childhood best friend, and clearly Xaden's not going to kill her now, but it's still something to consider in the scheme of things. Riddick, I'm sorry, I didn't notice him the first time around, but he's so sweet and hilarious now. I'm loving my reread. I'm finding the best characters literally ever, and their friend group, the whole thing is the dynamic is so wholesome and sweet and just kind. I actually am obsessed. Liam is so loyal and protective, not overprotective like Dane, but he's just so protective in a way that makes me feel like he could easily be Violet's elder brother, and those vibes are just amazing. All of the guys coming to surround her against Jack, that was incredibly sweet. Again, all the best scenes happening right now. And then the whole showdown with Jack was incredible. The whole orange is foreshadowing. Honestly, kudos to Rebecca Yarros' mind, because that was genius. I loved it. Xaden adapted specifically to Violet's body's needs by crafting those daggers specifically to her body, unlike Dane, who was telling her to please just leave and save her life or whatever. So he's teaching her to kind of defend herself, rather than Dane, who just wants her out or whatever, because he doesn't trust in her capability of defending herself. And so that's very interesting to consider. This also shows, kind of like Actor, how Xaden is actually teaching her to defend herself, and Dane is counting on himself to be defending her. But then what happens in emergencies when he's not around to defend her? The kiss, top 10 material, easily. That's it. This book is so far very Reese and Tamlin. Again, that's it. And then another thing I wanted to say quickly is that the signet shit is actually scary about it not manifesting or whatever, the way it's been portrayed or whatever. Fen Ryerson, the father, kind of teaching Xaden to like open doors, such a gentleman. So obviously I'm not seeing like problems with the betrayers at the moment, but like maybe something will change my mind. I don't really know, but so far they're looking to be the good guys, at least in my eyes, because come on. Literally, come on. On the other hand, Colonel Atos, Dane's dad, is kind of giving slick, swarmy, slimy politician vibes. I've written all of that, and he's also kind of giving mobster vibes. So clearly my opinions are changing at the moment, but I really don't like him. He's giving me like these weird, I don't know, off-putting vibes, and it clearly keeps getting worse, but here we are. Her relationship with her mom is so sad. That's it. What does he mean by the price he paid Xaden when he was talking to Violet's mom for his loyalty or whatever, like more than the scars or something? What exactly happened? I need to know immediately. All the dragons, Ten, Sigil, Andarna, Violet and Xaden, their whole dynamic is so cute, it's so found family, it's so wholesome, I love it. Imogen is like the tough older sister in her love, wherein she's like kind of treating you through it all, but she's also trying to help you in the same hand. And I'm loving the overprotective vibe from all of the marked ones because it's so sweet. One thing I actually caught that I want to speak about is the fact that they say that Fen Ryerson was the one who put the dagger in Brennan's chest that killed Brennan ultimately, but because I know Brennan is alive because I read the book the first time around and that's what was said at the very end, that's making me wonder what exactly went down between Brennan and Fen. Did Fen manage to convince Brennan to like change sides or whatever? Because we all know the dagger thing never happened, so does that mean like Brennan, since he's still alive, did they speak and did Fen change his mind or something like that? With the mated dragons thing, what's gonna happen on the front lines in the next book when Xaden has to go serve and Violet is still in Basgai? Stealing the map in the whole war games thing was so ingenious but so smart, and then Xaden going ahead and tipping his imaginary hat to Violet. I'm a goner for these guys and their chemistry and everything going on because this is everything. Everything changed between Dane and Violet in the span of a few months, going to show that the Rider Squadron cuts away the bullshit and it shows you what a person is truly at their core. She had no F's left to give, and it clearly shows because truly they were never meant to be friends in a way, and it kind of shows you that. Mira and Violet's reunion and Montserrat, truly everything. As someone who has a little sister, I cannot live without the way it was portrayed in the book. I had such a great time. I was trying to hold back happy tears because it was so sweet, and done with the graphic audio, it's giving me so much more feeling, and I had a great time. I love how Violet, when she was talking to Mira about Dane, she says that Dane, he wasn't letting her change, but she needed to change to survive, because that description is so accurate. Also, the reference to the Venin and the Wyvern backstory is very interesting. I feel like I'm catching on it more this time around and actually seeing what's coming and transpiring, and so it's keeping me more alert. The 3 days apart thing, I'm sorry, how is it going to work out in the next book? Because I'm so confused. And then not just that, Xaden, he's so funny when Dane is around, when he's like mocking him, because like, come on. Those are peak moments in this book. I'm having the best time. Xaden and Violet's mom and the whole retribution everyone's talking about, like I'm so curious to know more about that, because tell me more backstory, guys. I need that more than anything. He came to Montserrat, so he is missing out on his due diligence to kind of be with her and kind of let the dragons be instead of letting her miss out on her training. What an amazing guy. I need more details specifically about the attack on Montserrat and whatever happened next, because come on, I need details. That's all I need right now. Them speaking into each other's minds directly is so perfect. I'm giggling so hard. It's so very well done. Her trying to get to know more about him, and him on the other hand designing a saddle to accommodate for her body and kind of help her get on par with her peers. Stop. And then Ten encouraging her to use it. Guys, this is actually perfect. This also shows that actions are louder than words, and his actions are kind of helping her accommodate and helping her kind of ease her stay over there, rather than Dane, who's just asking her to leave, which is clearly very annoying, as we can probably tell at this point. Also, it goes ahead and shows how he's kind of helping her belong in the place, and that's really nice. Now, the whole thing in the war games with her saving Liam by using Undana to stop time, all I'm gonna say is, we know she saved Liam this time around, but we all know what's going to happen next. And truly, this time around specifically, I was holding back tears when that happened in the audiobook, so I'm not strong enough for the next time, which is maybe why I'm putting it off. But it's gonna come and it's gonna hurt, and I'm not ready. So she's a lightning wielder, as we can tell with all of her powers. And then now going back to the thing I said, wherein keep in mind Undana says nature likes all things in balance. Violet controls lightning and Xaden controls darkness, shadows. So Violet controls light, Xaden controls darkness, and that's technically balanced. So does that mean they're both soulmates or something like that? Which is very interesting, because I caught this the first time around as well, and I kind of referenced it in the first video, but then also I didn't really speak on it because there was non-spoilers. And so now it's really interesting to look back on, because if everything's in balance, clearly both of their powers are in balance as well. And so does that mean they're like perfect for each other? Because we all know that, but like it being justified is even better. Not just that, Xaden's Dragon's the Gale, S-Gale, Soaring Gale. Is that supposed to mean something, or am I reading into things right now? Also, why do I not believe the Jack thing? Like, his body was not discovered. The most formidable enemy we've had so far in the book, he's just gone just like that. I don't know, I feel like it felt very anticlimactic, so I'm actually not sure if he's dead and if he's coming back or whatever. But for some reason, like, I know he's dead, but I just don't believe it, because like, that was very undramatic in a way. I don't know. Like, he's gone just like that. And then not just that, her guilt also about killing him, despite the fact that, they hate each other or whatever, still shows she's human, and that's not some of the bullshit that's been cut away by the place, which means she was always a good person to begin with. So that's really nice. Now, the mention of the Code of Luck, Zinnal loving Liam. Again, I'm trying not to cry. And then right after that, saying that Malik sits somewhere on his throne angered. Yeah, we all know what's gonna happen, and Rebecca Yarros later in the series, please bring Liam back. I'm actually officially begging because I would give my kidney for that. That's it. The foreshadowing basically in all of this is crazy. I love how Xaden at the time in front of everyone else tells her what she needs to kind of hear to keep going, but also in privacy or whatever, when she's back in her own room or whatever, he comes back to ensure she's alright. Like, he just needs to say what needs to be said in front of everyone else to kind of not show her as a weaker person, but behind closed doors he actually comes back to ensure she's alright, kind of ensure the guilt isn't eating away at her and doesn't get bubbled inside and boils over. And so he's actually ensuring all her goodness right now, and I love him for that. Also, him kind of coming to let her vent on him or whatever is so sweet, and so that's why the whole slow burn enemies to lovers, it was done correct, and the whole moment, great. It's sad that he burdened the responsibility for all 107 marked ones kids in such a brutal way, because I feel like, again, that just shows command as such like a horrible institution, because this is kind of more or less instigating their people to come attack again, and so maybe that could have been a better way of going about it. But also, I really hate command at this point, so I'm just trying to pick at them. Zayn left spring violets for her. He didn't have to, but that was so thoughtful and that was so nice, and I had to mention. Professor Carr, again going ahead and suggesting a balance of power between the immense power she's been received and her fragile body is again something to consider about the whole balance thing, because I feel like it's shown up one too many times, and so it'll probably be important later in the series, because there's been lots of emphasis on it and it so seems important. 10 going, should I get the wing leader? Yes please, thank you so much. Also, Xaden doesn't really want a relationship with her, because as far as I can tell, he doesn't want to put her at risk with all the baggage that comes with him, and that's just so nice again. Now again, with all the references, I want to know Fen and Brennan's backstory so bad. I need so many details right now and I have so many questions. Can't wait to jump into the next books in the series. Xaden taught Violet to defend herself so she wouldn't need protection forever, and that's just so important to consider when we compare with Dane. Liam came and accompanied her to reunification day despite everyone kind of celebrating his mother's death. Liam is just such a good friend. Please, Rebecca, bring Liam back. I miss him. I love him. He's already there at the moment, but I'm still gonna miss him once he's gone. I can't handle this. Please bring him back. Xaden kind of gives her sparring and fighting lessons and flight lessons, despite the fact that he's missing out on his studies, just to help her cope with her year, and that's just so nice. This is just offhanded, again, it won't really matter, but why did his dragon Sigil scar him despite us knowing that he was one of the grandsons of her previous riders? Did she have to hurt him? I don't know. Him giving her the jacket so that she's not cold once they walk out with the final stage of war games or whatever, despite, it showing his insignia. Like, he's not stupid enough, obviously he thought of that. It just makes me think that he doesn't care about their relationship being secret or whatever. He just wants to protect her and, have her not be cold, and that's so thoughtful. Them going to Athpeen now for the whole last stage of war game seems so specific now. I didn't notice it the first time, but now specifically, Dane and his dad, I hate them so much. His dad especially seems like such a politician, like he's saying something but he's going back on it and being hypocritical, and then Dane with all the non-consensual taking the memories away and shit. I hate them. Xaden made a fitted connecting saddle for Andana too. Can this man get any more perfect? I love him. Dane looks disappointed when Xaden and Violet kind of come out as a couple or whatever, or at least you can kind of tell, and here's me wondering when he actually showed his true feelings to begin with, because all he's ever done is leech off of Violet's memories and then manipulate her and then gaslight her. So did you even really care to act disappointed in the first place? Doesn't feel like he has a say in all of this, especially with him constantly touching her face with his paws or whatever, kind of getting memories. That's so disgusting. It's such a violation. I hate him. And then especially all of this coming from Dane, who is her childhood best friend. He knew about the Adbean thing. He went and told his father. He's such a betrayer, and then that's the whole reason why he wants to keep Violet with him instead of her going along with Xaden, because he knows she could potentially die there or whatever, and then she makes her choice. But he knew all along, and he is the reason indirectly why Liam dies. Oh, I hate him. Whatever redemption he gets in the next few books, I don't care. I'm gonna hate him for absolutely forever just because Liam is gone thanks to this asshole. And then lastly, her saying that she's choosing between the two important men in her life, which kind of makes her feel like she's choosing which life path she's embarking on, comes so true when you actually look in the whole scheme of things. But that's it for all of my updates so far on Fourth Wing. I'm gonna go keep reading. It's gonna hurt now when I get to the final scenes or whatever, and I don't have a lot left, so I should be done by tonight. But then I'll come give you final thoughts when I do. But so far, I'm ready, I guess, for the pain. Not really, because I know that the author said from day one that she'd planned for Liam to die because he was a perfect character. There couldn't have been any more changes, there couldn't have been any more perfecting of him. But also, I'm just a girl, Please bring him back. That's all I'm asking for. For Christmas, for a new year, for my birthday this week, all I want, please bring Liam back. That's it. So I'm gonna go keep reading. I'm gonna go get heartbroken over what happens next, and then I'm gonna go read the rest of the books in the series in the hopes that Liam comes back. But that's how I'm feeling right now. So I'm gonna go get back to it, and I'll see you guys hopefully tonight with my last couple updates for this video, and then we can end it off because it's been quite a bit. I have been psychoanalyzing this book for a little bit now, and maybe it's time to move on to something else because I know it's gonna hurt me when it does, and I know I'm getting too emotionally invested in people who don't exist, but here we are. This is like a daily Monday thing for me. So I'm gonna go get back to it, and I'll see you guys hopefully in a bit. Bye. Okay guys, so now it's the next day. It's time for the final update on the full spoilers breakdown vlog for Fourth Wing, because yesterday after my last update to you, sat down, completely binged the ending, and so I have some thoughts to give you before we can wrap this up finally, and hopefully it won't be as long as my last clip, because there I went back and looked on the footage. I was yapping for so long. Not gonna happen again, but I do have a couple things I'd like to mention before we wind the vlog up. So here's my thoughts for the last, I don't even know how much, maybe 70 odd pages of the book, because I started from page 431, chapter 34, and this is how much I'm going to be speaking about from there onwards. Before anything, the previous chapter, so that's chapter 33, ends with Xaden saying, "Thank you so much for trusting me," and that's so crazy and so sad because no one without a relic ever trusts him, so the fact that she's trusting him, their romance is every single thing to me. I'll eat up every crumb every single time, and so eat that up. Per usual, when every clue the folklore mentions her dad's letter, the offhanded references to Venin, the missing fables book in the archives, which her father had given her and she went to look back again for it, but it wasn't really there in the archives. So when all of those pieces fell into place together, it's crazy how satisfyingly it was laid out for us to pick up from the beginning when we actually get all the backstory on Venin. I still feel like there's more to come, but the bits we got right now, it just felt so nice to watch the puzzle kind of click into place, and that was fun. The fact that her mom had the same Venin dagger that Xaden had is proof, concrete proof, that the command knows about it, but they're not doing shit about it. And so that's really sad that, you know, she sacrificed her son, in her opinion at least, to kind of protect the secret and, you know, involve herself in the cover-up. But then also she knows about it and she's not telling her other kids, and they're all working for the wrong reasons, which is sad. Dane is an asshole. Colonel Atos can go please die on the spot ASAP. Thank you so much. That's it. Now Command has so many secrets, and then one of the things out of that is that Command punishing them, the betrayers' children, for the fact that they're actually choosing to help the people of Peromil or whatever from all these attacks, instead of Command actually standing up for it, and instead of, you know, Command making it a secret cover-up mission. The fact that they're punishing these betrayers' children or whatever by sending them to Athpeen or whatever through Colonel Atos, that is so evil, that is so brutal, and that is so terrible. Truly, we can see clearly now who the bad guys are here, and it's not the betrayers, the marked ones' children. Command genuinely has so many secrets, and then not just that, the betrayers, they were right from all along, except Command kind of punished them with some fabricated bullshit and hid their story or whatever, all coming back in the form that Violet's dad said, wherein it takes one desperate generation to like wipe out history or whatever and change everything that's going on. And that's really sad, but also that's literally what's going on in the story right now. What else can I say? And then not just that, the whole thing Violet's dad said, that's making me wonder now if he knew more than he should have, because we are told that he dies naturally, but now looking back on it, I'm not trusting anything that's being said. So I need more details on his death ASAP, because I know it's probably not a big deal, but let's be real, his wife, Violet's mom, Lilith Sorrengail, she's in cahoots with the bad guys, as we can probably tell by now. And then when they had all that meeting kind of running into each other, and I think Dane's dad, so Colonel Atos, was asking Violet for more more information about her father's studies before he passed away, and she didn't give it, but like he was asking for it. That's so sus in my opinion, because why are you asking for it and what are you to gain or benefit off of it? One question I have is, how do more people not know about the whole thing about Venom and Wyvern and how they're true? Does that mean Command's power is so deep and it extends so far beyond that they've managed to literally wipe it out from the mass population, and it's just like a complete secret? Because that's crazy and that's wild. The whole war scene, I feel like war scenes in any book, honestly, I'm a goner every single time, but the whole thing with the marked ones choosing behind to stay and fight for the innocent people instead of leaving them to the Venom and going off to play the war games and whatever shit that was going on, the fact that they chose to stay and they gave their reasoning and, knowing their past history, guys, I was holding back tears then, and I was, just giddy with joy and happiness, because that's so nice and that's just so sweet, thoughtful. We all know how they lost their parents, but they're still walking in their parents' shoes and still gonna pursue their cause regardless of what's going on and who's choosing not to pursue it, because they believe in what's right and they are correct and they're ready to lay their lives down for it. And that was just so nice. Also, I love how the whole command system or whatever, they sent these guys to go pick between fighting for real life people and playing some stupid war games to kind of win a competition. Like, we can clearly see where their priorities are at. That's so stupid. Are you serious? You're letting people die out there and you're playing games in the background and you're having college kids choose between? That's psycho. I'm so sorry. One thing about me is that I love the way Ten gets so passionate when he's talking about ending someone, because his descriptions are so graphic, but they're always so funny. They get me every single damn time. It was offhandedly mentioned that one of the crates, when they were fighting the Venom or whatever, it had like Liam's family crest on it. It was just one half a line or whatever, and I didn't really notice it, but I had to rewind to just make sure I was hearing correctly, and then I went and checked back in the book again. Why was Liam's family crest on a box and they don't know what's in the box in the post or whatever? Because that's so weird. Okay, another thing I had to go back and rewind on the audiobook and then double confirm and check with this book is the fact that it says Liam was wielding ice daggers, but isn't his signet like Farsight or whatever? Because he was using that to spy on the Venom at the beginning. So does that mean he has more than one signet? And in that case, is it kind of like Violet when he gets like different powers from his dragon or whatever? Because Violet gets lightning from Ten and time stopping from Andana, except Liam has only one dragon. So does that mean he's getting like multiple powers from the same dragon, and maybe he's more powerful and no one really knows it? Or is it because he's a marked one and he's got the relic and he's getting more powers? I don't know, I'm really confused. It's probably nothing, but it didn't make sense to me the first time around because the word specifically wield was used in that sentence, and it doesn't make sense considering we know he's more of a Farsight guy rather than ice daggers. So how was he wielding that in the first place? And now I'm really confused. Venom are terrifying. I feel so bad for Liam. Rebecca did him so dirty. He deserves so much better. Please bring him back. I would actually give all my kidneys. I don't even care. I would give all my organs just to see Liam come back, because the graphic audio, the way it was handled with all the cast, I feel like even though I was complaining about some sound effects and stuff earlier in the video, now I don't even care, because it was like a movie, and because I was hearing it in different voices, I feel like I connected to each person like better. And thanks to that, the connect that was established with Liam, it hurt so hard when he died. I'm not even joking. I was crying for 15 minutes straight, tears pouring down my eyes. Cannot help it, because genuinely, even though I knew it was coming, I saw it coming, I already knew it was gonna happen because this is my reread. It hurt so hard. I think it hurt worse than the first time around, and then everything was hurting, honestly, at the time I went down for dinner or whatever later. And then now when I was going back and looking back at the book, it's been my honor. Those 4 sentences are enough to make me cry. Why did it happen? Did it have to happen? One point I've written here is I love him so much, always and forever, and that is so real because I knew it was coming, but despite that, it broke me yet again. That's the one scene that will always get me every single time, unfortunately. And then not just that, listening on graphic audio now, that's the one experience I would recommend if you are trying graphic audio, because at the time when, you're told Liam is dying and then he dies, Zayden, the character who was voicing him out or whatever, he screams, and that scene broke me. I don't even know how to compute, because the way that happened, I'm emotionally distraught. What do you mean he's gone? It was mentioned, or Liam was kind of asking Violet to kind of look after his sister, and his sister's called Sloane, so I'm excited to see her character in the next book, and hopefully Rebecca won't kill her off as well, because stop. you're taking the best people away. Literally stop. Another point I've written is that I hate Dane, and I always will, despite whatever redemption the author gives him, for indirectly being the cause of Liam's death, because I don't care what happens next. He was the reason they were sent to Athpeen, and he is the reason Liam is gone now, so he can very well go die as well. I don't care. I hate him. The whole kill the Venom and the wyvern thing, that they fall down or whatever, that is so smart. And then not just that, the whole there's a sage amongst the Venom who is the teacher or the leader. I need more details on that. I honestly just need more details on the Venom wyvern thing, but so far it's crazy how far it's like advancing or whatever. Like the story is completely different from how we were when we started. It's more high stakes, and I really like that. The fight scene was epic, but the whole mention of Neol and how Taryn was kind of stressing out about Violet burning herself out. I need more details on the Neolin backstory, because to me it does not make sense knowing Brennan is alive. So why did Neolin die, and why is Taryn choosing a new rider, and what's going on with that? Also, Xaden earlier in the book going, he knew a better poison master, and now when he brings Violet to Brennan, hello Brennan, we all know you were the one he was talking about, and that's so iconic, honestly. Also, Xaden kind of risking everything just to get her the help she needs, despite the secret he's kept for years. He's carrying his like father's cause or whatever, and he's just risking all of that to kind of save her, bring her to Brennan. That was so sweet. Fen Ryerson's words, his last words, but redacted when you're given them in the last chapter or whatever. That's so crazy. I actually need a book in his perspective right now, because even when the man was facing down death, he was literally calling out the people and standing still for his cause, and he was mocking them, and that's just hilarious to me. I know it's sad given the right context, but also I just need more of his story right now, because that's just so funny to me. The fact that we got Xaden's POV, sorry, I need more, thank you so much, goodbye, I'm deceased. Xaden kind of going ahead and saying that he won't live without her, he won't be able to survive it. Top book boyfriend material. I'm so sorry, I'm obsessed with him. The fact that Liam made Undana for Violet in his wood carvings, like that's just proof he's the best human ever, and we need him back, because Rebecca, honestly, do whatever. I don't even care if he just like spawns out of nowhere like a video game character, just bring him back. No questions asked, no problems involved or whatever, just get him, because I need him. And then going off of that tangent, Xaden offhandedly mentions that Undana is huge now. What does he mean by that? So obviously I need to get into the next book, and that's a clear sign, but now I have questions. 3 marked ones standing together, and then General Milgren cannot see the outcome of what comes of that. That is so genius, but also I need more details on that, because if we're being real, Command is not stupid enough to purposefully allow that. They kind of need to keep their eyes on everyone and everything, and if this has happened, was it some sort of accident that took place with the dragons kind of marking the marked ones, or what went down or whatever? I need to know the exact bits. Also, we were told that the dragons were the ones marking the marked ones with the relics or whatever, but also later in the book, Ken says that the dragons were communicating with the griffins. So does that mean all dragons can communicate with griffins? And if that's the case, why don't all dragons know the truth about what's going on beyond the borders? Because the griffins are trying to fight to save them. Which means, do the dragons know, the command dragons or whatever, and they're still involved in the conspiracy to cover up, or what's going on? Because that's really confusing to me. I need more details on the rebuilding of Arisha, because it was mentioned or whatever, and again I need to know more. And then not just that, Garrick kind of spending his summers with Xaden shows that they've been childhood besties, and that's why they're still going strong, stuck together. It's honestly kind of iconic. I'm obsessed with their duo. They said that Garrick's dragon was kind of inspecting the box or whatever they found. I think the one they're talking about with Liam's family crest on it. So now I need more details on that, because what's up with that, honestly? And I know it'll come in the next book, but I need to know more immediately, because I'm very curious. The king knew, and he did nothing, so everyone lost faith and they started the rebellion, and now I need a backstory book and everything, because it goes so much deeper than we think it does, and that's crazy, that's wild. So need more details. That's like my one remark for every single thing, but that's just how I feel right now, and that's how it is. Xaden coming in strong with the best book boyfriend lines ever. I would rather lose this whole entire war than lose you. I'm sorry. What? This man is ready to give up his dead father's cause, something his family, other families or whatever, they died trying to fight for, something that's so near and dear to his heart, just to be with her. I'm sorry, I love Rhys, don't get me wrong, but Rhysand has some good strong competition here with Xaden coming into the picture, because I'm sorry, what? Does the next book potentially have second chance romance potential, because he kind of betrayed her towards the end? He didn't really tell her the whole truth, and now they aren't really palsy-walsy anymore. So now I need to know, because I love second chance and I'm gonna eat that up. Xaden's mom is brought up only once, and at the time he brings her up, he goes, okay, not going there, and then he changes the topic. So now I need to know more about his mom, because we still do know bits and pieces about his dad, Fen Ryerson, but the mom was never in the picture. So now I need to know more, and I'm really curious again about that. Second last, Violet has chosen to fight with them. Kudos Violet for doing the right thing. And now Rebecca Yarros, please let Mira come in too, so that we have the whole trifecta of the Sorrengail siblings, because that would honestly be so iconic. But also then what's going to happen with the mom, and it's going to tear the family apart, and I need details. All right, I need more about their dad as well, but this specifically, can you imagine all three siblings fighting together? Like, that would be so iconic. We need that so bad. By we, it's literally just me. And then the last point is Brennan is freaking alive. Brennan is freaking alive, guys. That's it. So that's it. That's the end of my spoiler thoughts for Fourth Wing. A quick mention I wanted to make is in my original Fourth Wing video, the one without spoilers, every time I referenced that I thought of something or I found something at whatever moment in reading the book, now I've covered every single thing I thought of in that first original time. So if you wanted to know what exactly I was thinking, all the spoilers are included back in this vlog as I, went along with it again. And then another thing I wanted to mention is that we have a cockatiel here at home, and every time I look at her now that I've finished reading, for some reason I picture her as a dragon. So here we are. I'm gonna go back, hang out with my dragon, probably go pick up the next book now, and that's how I feel. So I just needed to mention that really quickly, and then now back to the video. Hi guys, it's as I'm editing that I realized that there's another couple things I wanted to mention as full spoilers part of Fourth Wing that I forgot to, and because I want this vlog to be completely cohesive and full of all my spoiler thoughts rather than me next time coming in during the Iron Flame spoiler vlog and giving you what I forgot in this specific vlog, I figured I'll just cut the video here and add my specific thoughts before we get back into it. So here's a couple things, like I said, I forgot to mention, and I'm coming back in now to kind of quickly, just briefly talk about so you guys know exactly what I'm thinking about, and then back to the video. Number one, I've noticed always when there's some kind of problem or whatever, Xaden's coming up with a solution. So for example, when she's not able to fight on the mat, he's kind of giving her lessons with Imogen to kind of train up with her body, and then giving her those daggers which are kind of suited to her body, which she can't keep her seat during flight. He's helping her with the saddle. When those kids, the unbonded ones, they break into her room, he's kind of executing them and bringing her to safety, kind of trying to figure out what happened. And on the other hand, we have Dane, who's always just going into over hyper judgment mode, wherein he's just like, oh my god, people broke into your room, and then he's not believing her and he's just asking her to please go back to the scribes or whatever. And so that's like a quick comparison I wanted to draw. This also kind of shows you that Xaden is helping her fit in as a rider, because we all know she's supposed to belong as a rider, and Dane is just asking her to leave because in his eyes she's not worthy enough to be a rider. However, through background information, we do know that she is meant to be a rider as always, because number one, she's told at some point in the book that the kind of punches or kicks or whatever she has would be wasted in the scribe quadrant. And number two, she ends up staying to fight for that village against the Venin alongside the Griffins, which no one apart from a rider would have done, because that takes reckless, I guess, bravery or whatever, and she's definitely got it in her. But Dane just completely does not support and believe that, and it's really freaking annoying to me. Another thing I've noticed is that Dane kind of gives her hope. So at the beginning how Xaden says hope is like a fickle thing or whatever, it makes you focus on the possibilities rather than the probabilities. When she figures out she has power or whatever, and she's being a lightning wielder or whatever, Dane comes up to her and tells her, oh, maybe we won't have to use it in war or whatever, which is obviously making her focus on the possibilities that are never going to happen, because it's just hope, rather than throwing her away from what's actually going to happen. And she's definitely going to be used by command, because listen, they're greedy assholes or whatever, she can't do much about it. And so Dane is kind of distracting her from the probabilities. And then Xaden, on the other hand, when he's coming in, speaking out his own peace of mind to her in front of everyone else, showing them or whatever that there's like a brave front to put out there as soon as she gets her power, it just shows that he's making her focus on the probabilities always, because they live in the kind of world wherein it's not like an option or a choice for you to have the kind of hope to focus on possibilities, because that's just going to get you killed. And so it's kind of like something I wanted to mention as well. So in a roundabout way, Dane is kind of like the safer path that would get her killed eventually, because Xaden is actually the one who's putting her on the path of the rider's coordinate and helping her just be there as a rider, rather than Dane, who's just like throwing her out. Now about her powers, when they kiss for the first time, Xaden and Violet, she has this like strong emotional outburst and there's lightning in the background, and because we learn later she's a lightning wielder, that makes me wonder if she already exercised her power unknowingly with Xaden and that was her controlling the lightning rather than the natural sky. My last point of reference again to Violet's power is towards the end of the book, one of the chapters has this like short saying at the top wherein it says, of the three brothers from the Venin fable, one of them, the one who controlled the sky or whatever, commanded for its power and vanquished his jealous brother or whatever. And that just makes me wonder, in the story there's three siblings and one of them is the one controlling the power from the sky, lightning, to kind of save and absolve his other sibling. So that makes me wonder, there's three Sorrengail siblings, one of them controls lightning or power from the sky, Violet. So does that mean that story is technically about them but in real day? Because sometimes if you look at it in books or whatever, even Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter, which this book specifically reminds me a lot of that too, there's the story of the Hallows, there's the three brothers, and there's how it applies in real life. And so for me personally, I don't know why it just hit me as I was editing. Maybe that specific reference is kind of like a roundabout way for it to now apply in real life and apply on the Sorrengail siblings, which means either Mira, her sister, or Brennan, her brother, is going to be the one who becomes Venin at some point and draws direct magic or whatever, and she has to kind of stop and save them, and that's where it's going. So I'm not really sure, this is just me speculating, but it's something I definitely just wanted to throw out there and keep as an open option because it's just very interesting. Why was it mentioned otherwise? And so here we are. But regardless, now that I'm done giving you all my full spoiler thoughts, so we have everything in one place, we can jump back into the video now, and I'll see you guys hopefully soon. Bye. So forgive me if I made any errors in the recording of this video because again, like I said, I'm a very beginner newbie at this. I'm not really so sure. Now we've reached the end of this vlog. As you can or can't already tell, 5 stars immediately. The second part of the graphic audio, I'm also going to give that 5 stars because it evoked real emotions out of me, considering the whole thing with Liam and everything and how I cannot, take it anymore. And at some point I will do a reread again because I want to feel feelings like that again, but I don't know when that will be. So until then, I'm so excited and I'm so happy to have gotten this done because now I can move on to Iron Flame, the next book in the series. I also have the third book that came out recently. It's called Onyx Storm. I bought it upon release because I wanted it to match my trade edges because the fourth wing I have, it doesn't have edges. It was already out at the time, and so now I'm thinking maybe I'll post this vlog tomorrow itself because today's a Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm trying, or I'm actually thinking if I want to start uploading twice a week again like I used to earlier this year. And if I start that, what better way to start than with this vlog specifically, because I know I have backlog from the last couple of weeks that I'd like to upload. This actually goes out in 2 weeks, but right now, as I finished fourth wing last night, I'm off of that high and I want to actually start Iron Flame immediately, which means I want immediate thoughts and opinions as to if you guys would enjoy watching me kind of spoiler break this down but actually reading it for the first time because I haven't started yet. So I'm thinking I'll post this tomorrow night if I get through all the footage because I know it's in the hours or whatever, and if once that's done, once that goes out, let me know your thoughts and opinions, because if you let me know in real time now, I can immediately spend the rest of this week reading this because it is my birthday week. I'll do literally what I want and I'd love to try that out for you guys, and we could speak about this too soon. However, then at some point we can also go ahead and read the next one and catch up on the series, but then I know it's gonna break me once the rest of the books, they aren't even out yet, we don't have a release date, and it's gonna hurt me. But until then, we are done reading fourth wing for now. If anyone cares, I was using my Onyx Storm bookmark for this, so I'll continue using it for the next books or whatever, but that's it. I've got the rest of the books to start at some point now, so I'm probably going to go focus on that and focus on editing this vlog. And so hopefully you guys had a fun time coming along with me. Full spoiler breakdown. Hopefully you enjoyed actually, because I've done this only one other time with Akamov, and I'm not really sure what the procedure of doing this is or what my format is because I've never done it before. I don't really know how it works. So hopefully you had a fun time coming along with me. Full spoilers. I know I will use this video for myself at some point as a recap for the first book, so next time the fourth book comes out in the series or whatever and I'm planning on reading that, can always come back, watch my own video, recap it for myself, and then go into the next book. And otherwise, if you're watching just to spoil the book for yourself so you don't have to actually read it, I would still suggest that you go ahead and read it because this is like one of the best books ever. The whole video was literally my love letter as to why this is the best enemies to lovers romance there is out there, and so keep that in mind. Definitely consider giving it a shot if you haven't already, and if you're just using this video for spoilers, because trust me, even though I've spoiled key bits, there's so much you're going to love about this, and take this as your sign to read it if you've already read it, and come talk to me about it in the comments, because that's all I literally want at the moment. I'm gonna go maybe start recording another reading vlog because I'm scared of falling into a really bad slump, which hopefully won't happen for right now at least, because I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just hoping and looking at this and thinking I might start this. So we'll see what I end up doing. But thank you so much for coming along with me, watching me do a full spoiler breakdown, and hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And that's it for this video. I'll see you hopefully in next week's, or whenever I post, honestly, because I'm trying twice a week again, like I said. So we'll see how that goes. And regardless, until then, please take care, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very, very soon. Bye.